The question you just asked is one that all parents can relate to is, how did you hear the news? If we fast forward to the day Levi was born and I'm standing there and he finally comes up Earthside, um, silence across the room.
Mhm,
Um, Levi's crying, of course.
mhm.
And the the nurse takes the baby and brings him up to about here so where my wife Kara can see him, and and I'll never forget this, and I can just like it just makes my heart so happy when I remember this. She goes, "You're perfect." And she puts her arms out and
Oh my
holds Levi
gosh.
so close.
This is the More Than Capable podcast. Life applies pressure in predictable places, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. More Than Capable exists for those who choose to prepare. No hacks, no shortcuts, no posturing. Just discipline, faith, and practices that help you stand when life presses down. Welcome. I am glad you are here. Before we get too deep, too fast, I did
Nice.
do a little bit of reconnaissance on you. I sent a message out to a mutual friend just to see if he could give me some intel. Who is Jacob Esser?
Nice.
And so he actually got this from a friend of yours who will remain unnamed because I
Sure.
I literally don't know who it came from.
Sure
But
enough.
I wanted to start by this. He sent me like a huge list of
Dang.
stuff about you, and it ended with this. Overall, Jake has an infectious way of succeeding in his goals and bringing people along the way in such a fun and empowering way. Something that is truly unmatched in others I know. This is truly his gift. And so reading everything that led to it got me super excited. But there was one goal that was nested in this friend's message about you from a very early age. You
Okay.
had like a desire and a very real goal to become a motivational speaker someday.
This
And
is true.
so, yes, I am very curious.
I,
Why was that the case from an early age, and where did that goal lead you to in life?
I can appreciate that. Whoever your unnamed source is being way too kind with those nice words. Um, I appreciate that, unnamed person, whoever you might be. Thank you. Wow. Okay. The motivational speaker part, absolutely true. However, I've sort of checked that box already, and I'll get to that in a minute. My original kind of hardcore goal was to be a game show host.
No way.
And I thought that maybe that could kind of lead into being motivational during the game, or maybe my motivational host leads me into being a game host. But the game show host was number one, man. That was always
Wow.
up there
What
too.
was
They
there a
definitely have
game?
blurred lines, right?
Yeah, was there a game or a show in particular that inspired you when you were growing up?
Probably Family Feud. For
Okay.
sure, Family Feud. I think
Okay.
we could have a lot of fun hosting Family Feud. I
Man,
think we could do if that comes back, which it's just bound to if it hasn't even gone anywhere, probably. That would be I would apply for that job in a
that's
heartbeat.
incredible. So were you speaking this out loud? Like were you sharing this with friends and family? Like I'm going to be a game show host someday.
It started like this. In college, I was a journalism major with a Spanish minor. And people are like, "What are you going to do with that, my dude?" And I go, "I'm going to go be a game show host in Mexico. That's my plan."
Oh my gosh.
And I kind of said it jokingly, but you better believe I was researching jobs that were like speaker gigs in Spanish speaking countries.
Wow.
That was kind of my quick gut reflex response when people said, "What are you going to do after college?" And sure enough, I kind of did it. So after school, I moved out to Washington, D.C., and I had a big corporate scary job with a blue or white tie or a blue or black tie
Oh
and a
boy.
white shirt, no questions asked, buttoned up. You couldn't even roll your sleeves up during the day, all kinds of weird things. I lasted 8 months, looked myself in the mirror. Maybe you've had a moment or two like this where
Oh
you
yeah.
look yourself in the mirror and go, "Who am I? What the
Mhm.
hell am I doing? I'm out,
Mhm.
like starting right now." Quit later that day. I wasn't ready to leave Washington, D.C. And so I was like, you know what? I haven't even spent enough time in DC, right? And so I go down to DC, I get on the metro, and sure enough, I see people riding around on Segways.
What
And I
year was
go,
this?
this is 2015.
Okay. Okay.
I go, I could do that job.
Oh my gosh.
I literally follow the Segways back to their little Segway shop headquarters. Knock on the door. I go, "Are you guys hiring?" And they go, "Maybe." And they handed me an application, had a 20-minute chat, and they said, "Come on a sample ride, a sample tour this weekend." And sure enough, I went there that weekend, and then they offered me a job after that sample. I must have just found the right time, the right place, and the next week I was officially a Segway tour guide of Washington, D.C.
Wow. Wow.
My dream job. It was incredible. I guess not a game show host in Mexico, but pretty darn close, like a
Yeah.
close, in the same wheelhouse, right?
Yeah.
And this job led me to three things. It led me to an amazing group of people that I just totally admire, leaders, people that shaped kind of my perspective, deep conversations, which I feel like you can appreciate.
Hmm.
Number two, it made me experience a different city than where I'm from, more so than ever before, which was
Hmm.
just huge. And then thirdly, it made me realize you can like your job. Like, and you're kind of
Uh,
supposed to like your job,
yeah.
like I
Hmm.
had in my first year of real world experience, I had seen a job I didn't like that was like, just not for me. And then I was now feeling the empowerment and the joy of doing work, the
Hmm.
power of work, doing good for you in so many different areas. So I learned that, I made a decision right then and there that I was going to like my job no matter what.
Man.
Um, that's how I got into speaking. And then somebody came on my tour who works for a nonprofit here in Minnesota as a motivational speaker for kids.
No way.
And on the end of the tour, he pulls me aside and he said, "Hey, have you ever, thought about doing youth work? Because you kind of have youth energy type stuff." And I go, "I haven't really. No." And he goes, "You should think about it. And by the way,
Mm.
are you from Minnesota?" And because he could hear my accent.
Yeah. It comes through.
And I
None of
go,
us can
"Yeah."
hide it.
I go, "Yeah. To be honest, I am, bud. Thanks
You
for
betcha.
asking."
Yeah.
And he goes, "Here's the deal, man. I'm also from Minnesota. I work for a nonprofit that helps kids be nicer to each other, kinder to each other, and more courageous in their schools. If you are ever back in Minnesota, give me a call." And
Mm,
about a year later, I moved home, and he was my first call. And that
man.
led me down the road of becoming the closest thing to a motivational speaker that I've ever been. Every single day, I was in a different school, in a different city, in a different county for an entire day, running a program about a different character value like kindness, courage, or respect. And I was on the microphone for 6 hours a day, speaking,
Wow.
engaging, connecting, telling stories about my life, and ultimately, setting young people up to have a vulnerable moment where they commit to being a little bit of a better person.
Hmm.
And that was really inspiring, every which way about it.
That's incredible. And I want to travel back in time here and really dive into honestly what might be a little bit painful of a moment to relive. But you had laid out journalism major, Spanish minor. You had this vision of, game show host in Mexico. What was going through your head when you were signing the job contract with, this corporate environment out in DC? Like, what led to the change to where you're signing the dotted line, and what thoughts were playing out in your head at that time?
Dude, I love that question so much because no one has ever asked me that.
Mm, I've lived it. That's why I'm very curious about it.
Has anyone ever asked you that same question?
Um, I think I've been pretty open about it, especially
Sure.
in the place that I find myself right now. But I'm happy to share. So like my big thing, and I love that we're both from Minnesota. A big part about my story was I went back to Minnesota after school, after I went to undergrad, and I viewed that as a huge failure. So for me, it was more about moving back that felt like the failure rather than the big corporate job, because
Mhm.
my job wasn't corporate. My job was in process manufacturing outside. Honestly, it was kind of like an adult playground in some regards, but I truly had that failure feeling when it came to the realization that, oh, I'm stepping away from my dream, which was for me to live in Europe and be a traveling like engineer, technical specialist, and I'm just going back home. And it was a big letdown for me. And it took me over 12 years to get over it. It was a core part of like my battle with alcoholism and the self-hatred that I felt for myself.
Wow. It's amazing that you can kind of pinpoint that decision or that experience.
Mhm.
And yours, it sounds like led you into a dark space, where you've now bounced back from.
Correct.
Congratulations,
Yep.
by the way.
Yes, thank you.
Mine led me to a space of just self-discovery in a different way.
Mhm.
Uh, you know, I've man, as I reflect on, so I've been out of school now for about 15 years, and out of college, that is. And it's like I you know, that signing that first job letter, that job offer, right? At I think it was 29 grand, and I had
Mhm.
to relocate my life.
Mhm.
I
Wear
didn't
suits
know
all the time.
anyone there. I was totally taking a complete risk.
Mhm.
They gave me a $2,000 signing bonus. I spent it all on the lobster dinner that night, literally. I, like, had a bottle of wine and lobster dinners and just balled out, right? Thought I was
Going
on
big.
top of the world.
Yep.
Um, and it's interesting now to have this conversation and reflect on what was I celebrating, right? Like,
Mhm.
what kinda story or system was telling me that you did it, man.
You made it.
You can
Yep.
celebrate now. It's like, "No, dude, I'm supposed to be the game show host in Mexico."
Right.
Um
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be, I lived in Spain too, for about 6 months. I was like I'm like you, I wanna go back to Europe. Like, wait a minute,
Mhm.
I wanna be, and now 15 years later, just last week, I found myself thinking about my dream job. And it's like, I do think I'm living out my dream job with
Mhm.
Dodds, and I love my day job. But I think I still wanna be an explorer.
Mhm.
You
Well, and
know? Like,
yeah,
you don't know but anyway, why did it feel like getting that 29K salaried gig in a foreign town,
mhm,
feel like the best moment ever? I don't know. I can't I mean, it's funny because I don't have, like, any hatred towards that moment.
mm,
Um, I don't, but I'm so confused by it now as I look back. And
yeah,
I guess you just have to trust that it was just
yeah,
part of that day and that week and that year that led to the next day, week, and year, right?
mhm,
Which is
yeah,
exactly what it did for me, as I told you about my segues, right?
mhm. At what point, once you got out to DC and you were working the corporate gig, was it the day you quit when you finally realized, like, "This isn't for me," or was it a slow buildup to that?
Um, I had days that I'm like, "What am I doing?"
Yeah.
I had tough weeks, but the job was a little bit tricky. They made you live with your coworkers. So it was a very
Really?
fraternity style feel, right?
Oh
So we
my
all
word.
drove to work together, drove home from work together. We had mandatory happy hours every Wednesday.
Oh,
You were expected to be hungover on Thursday. They gave you greasy burritos. You cracked beers at noon on Friday in the
oh
office.
my gosh.
Week after week after week. That was it. And they only hired men.
Really?
So it was like this weird scary place that, like,
Yeah,
some people could just really buy into and not ask any
yeah,
questions.
yep,
And I bought into it for 6 months,
mhm,
and stopped worrying about it, and all of a sudden, after about that 6-month mark, I was like, okay, 1, I haven't seen DC yet. Y'all told me this was a job in DC.
mhm,
Number 2, I'm feeling super underappreciated. I don't even know what's going on. Number 3, I'm going into debt every single week because I
mhm,
can't live off $300 a week. And 4, I'm like, where are, like, the people? Where are the females? Where is, like, anyone else except these dudes rocking blue and white shirts?
mhm,
And I was like, there's just got to be more to my day to day.
yeah,
And that's why I'm just so grateful for that job with my Segway tour company, because it all I saw was people. All
yeah,
I saw were strangers of all different walks of life from all different places of the world, and,
yeah,
it changed my perspective in so many ways. Um, and then I'm gonna go on a little tangent here because I think you're gonna be
please.
excited about this next part, and it might pull us back into how we originally met. So being a tour guide led me to being a youth worker. being a youth worker led me to working in schools. When you work in schools, you don't work in the summers. And suddenly I was being recruited by tour guide companies
Mm.
that lead kids around DC during the summertime. And I was like, well, that's a perfect fit. So now I was returning to DC to be a tour guide for
Hmm.
kids. So now my whole life was centered around public speaking, and working with kids, both in their schools. And then also in the summer, I would just move out to DC and New York for about 2 months. And every single day, I would be in charge of showing people around. And as I was being recruited by that company, um, I remember it so clearly. And it was an interview, kind of like a final interview at a restaurant. And we were walking out to our cars, and I knew I was just like a great fit for this job. Like I kind of knew like it just made too much sense for this to not move forward. And
Right.
so we were being
Yeah.
kind of real with each other. And I was kind
Yeah.
of like let my guard down and just being totally open and honest about my life and who I am. And I had no restraints. And somebody with Down syndrome walked by, and we were walking out to the car. So we're in the parking lot, and they walk right by, and I said, "Hey, how are you?" And they responded, and the the conversation went to, "Do you know that person?" And I said, "No, I don't know that person." And they said, "Wow, I mean, man, they look like they have such a tough life." Like,
Mhm.
or something like that. They just like they made it
Yep.
like they kind of alluded to that person was struggling. And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, but luckily they were going in there with their family, so they're gonna be okay."
Yeah.
And then the guy interviewing me said something like, "Man, how do you think that those parents handle that?"
Man.
And this isn't a job interview, right? So it's kind of
Yeah.
crazy thinking about that. And I go, "Truth is, I bet those parents are so stoked, and those siblings are gonna be way, way better off because of it. I'd love to have a kid like that someday."
Man.
And I said that when I was 25. And fast forward to being 30, 5 years later, I'm there in the delivery room, and out pops a kiddo with Down syndrome.
Man.
And
And
so there you have it. It's all these different moments, from the lobster dinners to the
yeah.
quitting jobs to the moving from city to city. These perspectives and these universe moments can sneak into your life,
Hmm.
and they all sometimes mean something.
Between 25 and 30, did you think back on that conversation often?
I do. I think about it actually a lot still today,
Man. Yeah.
because I just wonder why. Like, who input
Yeah.
this little thought in my head
Yeah.
that said, "Dude, you should advocate for that kid right now.
Yeah.
Dude, you should put yourself in that sibling's perspective.
Yeah.
Hey, you should stick up for that stranger in the parking lot, right now." Um, and I remember it so clearly, and they were so caught off guard. They're like, "No, man,
Man.
like, I don't want that life. I'm not
Yeah.
interested in that."
Hmm.
Uh And so it's a good conversation to reflect on, and it helps me remember my purpose, and it
No
helps me
kidding.
remember, why I am so passionate about the work I'm doing with dads and family systems in the Down syndrome community today.
Yeah, that is absolutely incredible. So let's jump to 30 now.
30.
You, if I remember, you did the normal checkups, monitoring, ultrasounds during
Yeah.
your wife's pregnancy and with Levi, and you truly went to the hospital not expecting anything, right? Outside of, God willing, a healthy delivery. Is that's all true? And then, what was that moment like in the delivery room?
Yeah, yeah, you're almost exactly accurate, except that we were flagged for, like, a 25% chance that he was gonna have Down
Okay.
syndrome, like, earlier on at about the 20-week mark.
Got it. When they do all the measurements and things
Right.
like that.
And so when that happens, they send you on a different trajectory where you get a ultrasound probably every single week, if not, or every
Mhm.
other week somewhere. It was constantly, we were at the birthing center, right? Or at
Okay.
the checkup place.
Yep.
And they look for specific markers. That's very important in the Down syndrome community, is like, or in pregnancies when they're trying to figure out if there's a Down syndrome diagnosis, they look for I think there's 4, maybe 5 different markers
Hmm.
that they can tell via ultrasound if this kiddo is likely or not likely to have Down syndrome.
And
Levi,
these are like bone length type
yeah, yeah,
measurements.
it's like length stuff, like
Yeah.
length of femur. They can actually measure the fluid in like the top of their spine,
Yeah.
like in their
Hmm.
neck. Also, just general size is a
Oh,
factor that they can take into
okay.
account. Feature nose bone is a big thing.
Right.
And anyway, Levi was huge. He was like over the 100 percentile, had big long legs, had a big old nasal bone, had all the right measurements everywhere. And I had a doctor that was in the profession for 30 years look me in the eye and say, I've never seen a kid with Down syndrome have these types of numbers.
Oh, wow.
And I remember that day too, almost as clear as the day I had that conversation in the parking lot where I was like, so you think we can go home okay today, doc? Like we're going to be
Hmm.
okay. You know, seemingly like we'd be not okay if the kid had Down syndrome, right? Like
Right.
it was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
are we good? Like, like
Right.
we're good, right? And he nodded his head and he said, we are.
Mhm.
And I think about that doctor sometimes because I wonder if he, had been in there long enough where he just knew that we needed to be told we're going to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Period. Like those moments where you just need someone to say, you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
You
When they
know,
when you were at the 20-week appointment, when you got these initial like, we're not totally sure, how was that information delivered to you, and how was it received on your end? I think you just touched a little bit on the reception part, but yeah, how is it like communicated? I always think that's got to be a difficult conversation.
great question and very much a common question that parents, can relate to.
Mhm.
Um, about 50% of the time, maybe more than that, it's a bad experience.
Mhm.
And I can go into multiple heart-wrenching stories that I've heard from other dads in the community that can
Mhm.
talk about their experience in that. It's usually with a geneticist. Um, and ours was not that way.
Mhm.
Ours was tough, because you were just so caught off guard.
Yeah.
I was actually traveling for work when my wife got the call, and the call sounded a little bit like, "We need you to get back in here for more testing." Couple flags in the Down syndrome neck of the woods, but
Mhm.
nothing's for sure yet. Can you come back in? And my wife was like, yeah, what?" And sure enough, I'm out of town, so it's like we had to wait till next week and stuff
Mhm.
like that. Which, you sometimes you wish it went a little bit differently, but we had a relatively positive experience. But the processing is different for everybody.
Yeah.
You begin to fear things that aren't even real yet. You begin
Yep.
to have pretty hardcore anxiety about the life your kid is about to experience. Um, you you worry, worry, worry. Um, and it was funny because we left those ultrasounds with like a little bit of hope, or a
Mhm.
little bit of calm, relax. Like, hey, I think, I don't think this baby, maybe doesn't have Down syndrome. And
Mhm.
I guess we'll just go with that, right? And boy, it fits Levi's personality so well. The dude was just goofing in there, being a big old heavy dude, having a good old time, and bam, he pops out and man, I'll never forget there's another thing. The question you just asked is one that all parents can relate to is, how did you hear the news? Whether it was
Mhm.
a pre-birth diagnosis or a post-birth diagnosis.
Mhm.
And the second thing is a silence that comes over the delivery room.
Yeah.
So now if we fast forward to the day Levi was born and I'm standing there and he finally comes out he becomes Earthside. Um, silence across the room.
Mhm.
Um, Levi's crying, of course.
Mhm.
And the the nurse takes the baby and brings him up to about here so where my wife Kara can see him, and I'll never forget this, and I can just like it just makes my heart so happy when I remember this. She goes, "You're perfect." And she puts her arms out and
Oh my
holds Levi
gosh.
so close. And it's funny because our doula took a video of this moment,
Oh man.
and I'll never forget it. Because I just the way she said that with so much confidence and love and appreciation and acceptance and advocacy and power, it was just incredible. And if you see my face in that video, just like literally in like shell shock, like can't believe the little curve my life is about to take. Like
Yeah.
I don't know what is happening. Like this is
Hmm.
crazy. And man, I knew it in my bones then, but I know it even more now how lucky we are to be on
Yeah.
this journey with Down syndrome.
Yeah.
Um and I'm still surprised every day at some of the things he does and says, and how he operates and how he thinks and the
Man.
way he teaches us stuff. I mean, he's been teaching us stuff since that exact moment. So
Wow,
um
that's incredible.
that's it.
What a perspective too. What if you have you obviously just showed the kind of just shock. I mean that I think that comes with any birth, but if you have any memory of it, like what are the thoughts?
Um, you know, at that point in time, it was love on my wife.
Yeah.
It was love on my wife. It was, stand strong.
Mhm.
Uh, it was we're gonna be okay. We got this. You did amazing. Whatever it is, we're not no problems. But there was absolutely some times where I had to shuffle off into the side a little bit and let it out.
Mhm.
Um, Big time.
Mhm.
Um, and probably a few times were for myself,
Yeah.
I was like, how am I gonna do this? Like, this isn't what we were expecting. What am I gonna miss out on? What do I have to change? What do I have to learn? What do I have to do?
Mhm.
How did this happen to us? Which I think is a very, very common experience.
Yeah.
Um, and something that maybe you can relate to in your own life is like, why is this happening to me? Right.
Mhm.
Rather that be, a diagnosis like Down syndrome or something along the lines of your struggles with substances or whatever it might be.
Mhm.
It's different, you're like, how is this happening to me type
Yeah.
moment, right?
Right.
Um, and then you also had moments, and I still have these moments where I just get scared for him.
Mm.
I get scared that he won't be accepted. I get scared that he will be judged the minute you see him, whether
Mhm.
you are trying to or not. I get scared that he might not have the ability to communicate his needs and his wants and his desire for friendship and connection and love.
Mhm.
I get nervous that he, won't be able to, like, people aren't going to be patient enough with him. That's a big thing for me, right?
Mhm.
Like I get nervous that maybe he's gonna struggle with that one friend, because everyone needs that one friend,
Mhm.
you know? And so those first couple days, you cry for that too.
Yeah.
Um, and, uh, and then your family cries a lot.
Yep.
And that's the first lesson that, Down syndrome kinda taught me on that level is you have to be a leader in the perspective shift for your family.
That's true.
Right?
Yep.
Like, that's another thing. They have to be willing to accept,
Yep.
and I'm gonna help you understand why that is happening right now,
Yep.
you know? Um, and we have an unbelievably, generous and supportive and caring and amazing family. Levi has 8 grandparents, all living, local, and loving.
Man.
So, we are blessed. He chose right. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, tough couple cries that I can recall very clearly and live
Yeah.
out, for sure.
Well, I mean, reflecting back on our own experience, so we found out that there was a health concern, unknown, undiagnosed at the 16-week checkup for us. And if memory serves, I think we went 8 weeks before we got the full understanding of the genetic condition that our daughter Lucy had. But one thing that we recognized, and I don't know if we could have articulated it in the moment necessarily, but certainly upon reflecting back, and I don't know if this is the same in the Downs community family, but there is we experienced it right when we found out there was a health concern, that you almost have a grief process of the vision that you had for your family. For us, it was, I had just gotten out of rehab. I had just entered into recovery. I had this new capability as a father, and this new desire as a father. We had a 1.5-year-old at the time who was ecstatic at being a big brother, and this picture, and man, like at some point in rehab, we had some, we did like art therapy and stuff, and I forced myself to do everything. So at one point, I drew like a happy family of 4, and it was like that vision was in our mind. I should say, like a happy and healthy family of 4. And when we got Lucy's health diagnosis, or concern flagged, all of a sudden there was a grief process with like the death of that vision. And there was some reconciliation around like, okay, we have to grieve for that, but then we have to reformulate our vision over here. What's it going to take? What does she need? All those questions that you just listed off, like I kind of got chills, man, because it's like those were the things that we were asking ourselves. It was like, yeah, some things were coming up as concerns, but it was just more like, what is needed to provide her the life that she deserves, that she's able to fight for. Ironically for us, it was moving back to Minnesota. So I had detailed, like I saw myself as an abject failure going back to Minnesota, and lo and behold, like for Lucy to be born and have a fighting chance, we went back to Minnesota. We were committed to living next to a hospital if that's what it meant. All of a sudden, it didn't. None of that mattered. It was just this formation of a new vision. If you are enjoying this episode, please take a moment to follow, rate, or comment on the episode. These seemingly small actions can have far-reaching impacts. With that, back to the episode, and thank you. What I'm kind of curious about, your experience is very much in line with what I had, but is there, in the community that you're in now with Dads of Down syndrome, and I really want to dive in there into that organization, but, do you have any, like how would you help a dad that is in your shoes, the days, the weeks after Levi was born and came into the world? Like, what are you telling him? What are you doing to support him?
Nice. Great question. I've been asked this a few times, and I don't have a quick answer.
Mm-hmm.
And if my gut reaction to that question is, I wish I could tell you the same thing. When you came back to Minnesota feeling like a failure, you were already a father of 2?
No, when I came back
That
to
was the
Minnesota,
first
that was
time you
right
felt like
after
a failure.
college. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
The
So the
second
second time
time,
you moved back to Minnesota, you were
I was
feeling
all for
really
it.
good.
I
Yeah.
was all in. Yeah.
Okay. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. That's what I thought you were going to say.
Yep.
That feels good. What I would tell a dad is, man, there's just so much to say. And I've been in this position in real life too.
Mm-hmm.
I've invited, there's been 3 dads, and their families that have come over to our house to meet with myself, Kara, and Levi. And the truth is, you don't say much. Um, and this speaks to the mission of Dodds as well,
Mm-hmm.
is that it's not, and this is like life and everywhere. There's not that this is not the same, but there's not that billionaire uncle that's going to save you and you're going to be a healthy, happy person forever.
Right.
When dads or families that get the brand new diagnosis, they come to our house and we just simply be. We just be. And I search for those moments of silence at our Dod's events.
Hmm.
I push for that almost awkward moment where we just be present with each other. And in those present moments, I feel like we can actually begin to have a conversation about what we're going through.
Yeah.
Um, and that's part of the magic of Dodds that I didn't plan on is when you get 20 people that aren't even really, don't even have that much in common except for one thing, and that's they all have a kid with Down syndrome. Otherwise, they're strangers.
Hmm.
There is awkward moments there,
Yeah.
right? There is a little bit of vulnerability checks right there that people are like, why am I here? This is weird. But dads keep coming back and dads share and dads
Hmm.
begin to care and they begin to become passionate and they begin to become compassionate. And so to kind of bring this full circle, because this is not a very clear answer. Um, I show compassion to
Hmm.
dads. Um, and I try to say it with my body and my energy that I think you're gonna be okay.
Hmm. Man, that I went ahead and jotted that down. Just simply, you don't say much. There's a ton of power in that, and yeah, it's funny. Like even drawing it back to your all the way back to your corporate job. One of my biggest complaints at I shouldn't say complaints at work, but the thing I challenge myself and others with. I will ask this question and I pose it to individuals who I think really highly of that I want to see succeed. Question whether you're listening or just waiting for your turn to talk.
Mm, I love that.
Because yeah, there's a huge difference. And in corporate America, there is a tendency strongly towards the latter. And it really is incredible the power of actually listening and
Mm,
sitting in the discomfort of that silence. Like I imagine a family comes over and they're at your house, they're
yeah,
entering into this
yeah,
situation and there has to be a lot of discomfort and
yeah,
sometimes silence is the perfect thing to kill it and or
yeah,
break it, I should say. So man, there's a ton of power in that. And I actually really love that. So how does actually first I want to back up to the beginning of Dads of Down syndrome.
yeah.
Again, I'm guessing weeks and months after Levi is born. What are you and your wife and family searching out in terms of support, like answering all those questions that you had? And what did you notice that made you go like, I got to get together with dads?
You're an awesome host, man. Phenomenal question.
Thank you.
Um, so after Levi was born, we were greeted with so much love. So much love. Love that I am grateful for the rest of my life.
Hmm.
And part of the Dodds mission today, sorry, back to nowadays, present time, is to raise dollars and reinvest it into the Down syndrome community. And a
Hmm.
lot of those funds and all those resources are going back to organizations that specifically supported us in those beginning months and beginning
Amazing.
years.
Yeah.
Um, Luckily, those organizations are national and they're doing this work and this mission all over the world. So, like,
Hmm.
supporting them supports not just the Twin Cities, but everywhere, which is
Yeah.
awesome. But anyway, all these amazing organizations came to us with love and support and guidance and books and resources and specific things. And I got to know the leaders of these organizations, incredible people, all business mentors and coaches of mine today. Um, but I noticed one thing: they were all moms.
Mm.
And as I met them in their offices, it's all moms. And I think there might be one or two dads or men working at any of these organizations, maybe not even. And so I was like, where are the dads? Like, are any of these orgs run or supported by dads? And I asked all of them that question, and they all had the same answer. We've tried. We've
Really?
tried, dude. Either like we don't know where the dads are. It
Mm.
all starts and then it fizzles away, and next thing you know, it's two moms on a Facebook group called Dads. You know, and it's like not working out for us. And I was like, okay, interesting. Can I try? Are you guys like going to be? Is that weird if I, do this? And they're like, we would love that. We'll send you dads. And I was
Wow.
like, send me dads, whatever that means. Let's go. you know? And I pulled in 5 or 6, I think it was exactly 6 other dads that I have known in my time here in Minnesota that have kids with Down syndrome. And I literally batted 1,000%. 6 for 6 said, sure, I'll be there.
Amazing.
At my first ever event. And Levi had just turned 1. It was February of 2023. And I was like kind of nervous,
Hmm.
I'm like, first of all, I've been a dad for a year. What am I doing? I mean, I guess I need to listen, really listen, right?
Hmm.
Number 2 is none of these guys know each other. Like, what are they gonna like? What kind of icebreakers do we need? So I got
Yeah.
a flashcard and wrote down like some questions. What do you think about Down syndrome and stuff, right? And they all, anyway, they all show up, and I didn't say a word for 3 hours.
Whoa.
Didn't say a word. I hardly even introduced myself.
Amazing.
This stranger talked to this stranger. This dad talked to this dad. These 2 dads weren't even strangers. They'd been friends for over 20 years. Their kids are both in their 30s. They played golf together.
Oh
They've done
man.
business together. They've sat at the same bar together. And for the first time in 20 years, they looked each other in the eye and said, "Did you know that your kiddo had Down syndrome?
Oh
How did that
wow.
go for your wife? What was it like for you in the delivery room? Oh, you had the silence too? God, that silence freaking sucked, huh?
Hmm.
Yeah, look, well, wait to hear what happened to me." And all of a sudden, these conversations that were just happening were inspiring everyone else at that table.
Mm.
And this void of dads actually sharing their experience, and I always say DODS is for dads of all ages at all stages.
Mm.
That's the real beauty and the genius of it, is that there was a dad with he's probably in his 70s, and then there's me, and then there's 5 in between, and wise leader can explain these things, and we can just ask questions. It was just like this unbelievably smooth conversation that
Wow.
led to tears. It led to laughs. It led to changing numbers. It led to the dads talking in the parking lot for even longer after I'd left.
Oh yes.
And I just was like, what the heck? This really worked. And I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
What? And so at the end of the meeting, I said, all right, fellas, would you guys want to do this again sometime? Like maybe in the summertime? And they said, how about next month?
Oh wow.
And I've had an event every single month ever since then. And we've now grown to over 75 dads here in the Twin Cities, almost 100 nationally. And I just got word this week that I have dads in Tucson, Arizona, and Salt Lake City that want to start chapters.
Oh, amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
And that will be the first chapters outside of Minnesota. And I do know that I saw on the website you want a chapter in every state.
I think that's our goal. I've been working with
Heck
a
yeah.
technical writer, and now I have another guy on contract that's going to develop a playbook, or a manual, if you will, that's going to basically be everything I did from that February that I just told you about
Mm-hmm.
up until 2 years into the business.
Oh
Uh,
man.
how you communicate with dads, how you find dads, how you lead meetings, how you do what the cadence of the roundtable versus the public speaker looks like, how you find different opportunities to volunteer as a group, what kind of venues you need to book, how you start the conversation, what the kind of go-to prompt might be, what's the
Mm-hmm.
cadence for emailing them, what's the quarterly newsletter, if you have a fundraiser, what are you raising money for? All of that information, I like to think I've figured it out in the first 2 years, at least for where we stand today.
Yeah.
So if I can get all that into a playbook and make it look readable, exciting, and energetic, I'm going to basically ship that off to the right person in the right city and say, go. Talk to you next
Amazing.
month.
Amazing. So you walked away February of 23. You have 6 people that are like, we're not waiting until next summer. Let's meet next month. So you have 6. What are your thoughts about, okay, how do we spread the word? Where did you go to first? Were you telling them to tell their friends? Were you going back to some of these other organizations, or how did that upswell and the growth happen?
You know what's funny is that those organizations, hardly any of those 75 dads are from recommendations from those orgs.
Wow. Word of
This
mouth.
was this was truthfully uncovering the un the dark underworld of dads
Hmm.
that
Amazing.
hadn't been surfaced.
Well, and yeah, you kind of laying out the characters that were there that first day. What like what
Yeah.
is that 70-year-old saying? Is he just like I've been waiting for this, or what's that conversation like?
Yeah, the founding Dodds, I call them.
Yes.
Um, the yeah, his name's Steve. He's a great dad, and his son is a wonderful, independent, uh, just great guy who works in the IT maintenance printer copier room at a big corporate office here. And he recently won an award, and his dad showed up and he shared that story, and
Wow.
just incredible stuff. You know, I've had the dads of that generation just say time and time again, I really wish I had something like this.
Hmm.
And not that they could think it's too late, it's just that they play a different role in that conversation.
Correct.
They honestly just give hope and wisdom, and they, what's funny about that generation that I love about that generation, at least in my experience with the Dodds that I've, been able to connect with, is they are good listeners.
Mm.
Peter, I call him the Gandalf of the Dodds, is in his 70s. Recently in a terrible accident. He's heavy on my mind right now. He should be okay, but he had a tough experience with a vehicle. But he coined my favorite term. He said at one of our events, he said he didn't say much all for 2.5 hours, but it was finally his turn, and he was kind of in a position to close down the meeting. And honestly, I just loved how that worked out.
Hmm.
I just felt, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be just
The
freaking."
old timers coming in to
I was
just slam
like,
dunk.
"Peter, give it to us, Peter." Like, "Oh, screw me up right now, Peter. Like, do this." Um, and he did. He goes, fellas, I'm retired. I'm old, but I drive an hour each way once a month to sit in this room with you men because these are the luckiest men in the world."
Hmm.
Similar to that moment that Levi and many other peers of his with Down syndrome, brought to delivery rooms across the world, he brought to that Devani's pizza room, you
Yeah.
know? And I had to process that a little bit. And I think about it almost every day. You
Hmm.
know, I do this so I can sit in the room with the luckiest men in the world. That is just such a beautiful compliment,
Hmm.
perspective changer, energizing life motto.
Hmm.
It encapsulates the beauty of the journey that we're all on in our own way.
Hmm.
Um, it just rocked my world when he said that, and it's allowed me to feel so lucky. And be reminded that when I'm around other dads that are crushing it, dads that are going through adversity like you, dads that are dealing with the work, dads that are reframing what it means to be supportive and involved, dads that are trying to figure out this thing called the mental load, which is like a very difficult thing for my brain and my body to process, but I'm working on it. Um, we are the luckiest men to get to do this work.
Hmm.
Um, and that just makes it all worth it for me.
Yeah. That's incredibly powerful and beautiful. And you had alluded at the start, like you are in running, in founding and running Dodds. You are essentially living your dream job. The thing that I find so inspiring, and honestly, like it is the thing that I want to chase with this body of work. This is your side gig, right? Like you still put in the 9 to 5. Like you still have a career, yet you saw this need. You are pursuing it. You are growing it. you are pushing it, and you are creating this incredible community. And it's like one of the things that I was thinking about it, and I don't know if you've like fully answered it yet, but like where where'd you get the courage to be like, yeah, this is for me to step in and do this? Like, I can do this. Was it just like slowly built up, or was this a moment where you're like, this is my calling. This is where I am to step in?
Great question. The courage part, like I described, I didn't need much courage to wing it. I was
Yeah,
winging
right.
it that first one, and then I guess I had to find more courage as it continued to grow. Um,
Okay.
and as it continued to grow, I realized that, oh my gosh, this role as a founder of a group of men being vulnerable with each other, this, leader of a startup in the nonprofit space actually flexes on like all of my skills and like character traits. Like I get
Right.
to speak, which we talked about. I did for 5 plus 10 years. I get to recruit people, which is sort of like sales. I get to speak about the org in front of big groups of people, which I'm very comfortable doing. I get to design and pull people on to my team, which I've been able to do in multiple other jobs that I've had. So suddenly it just all made so much sense. And I say this a lot. I say that I've always had an entrepreneurial mind.
Hmm.
All my ideas must have just been so bad, except for one of
Yeah,
because
that's
when
all
you
it
have a
takes.
good idea,
Yeah.
it's easy. It's
Yeah.
easy. Like,
Right.
I mean, it's just I don't wanna say it's been easy because it's been hard, and it's
Yeah.
been
Yeah.
hard
Yeah.
to manage my time. It's been hard to, be in so many places at once. It's been hard to learn about the world of, raising dollars and investing
Hmm.
dollars and managing businesses and finances and board of directors, all the while trying to grow a book of business in different departments and, um also be a dad.
Right.
I don't have a ton of experience in that space either, right?
Right.
Not to
Yeah.
mention be a good husband, right? I mean, we're
Hmm.
coming up on our 7-year wedding anniversary, and I'm still learning things every day about how to
Hmm.
be a better person and show up in the best version of myself, right?
Hmm.
Um, so I just feel like, man, I've just been really learning a lot since
Hmm.
Dodd started in so many departments of my life, which is another reason I'm grateful for it.
Right.
It pushes me to that point of, holy smokes, thank goodness that one person, was it Jesse Eitzler or whoever said pressure is a privilege? Like
Hmm.
I'm in that pressure zone
Yeah.
to hold everything up.
Yeah.
Um,
I
and
mean,
I
it's just,
appreciate that.
getting the kind of arc of your story. It's incredible how, and me kind of having an idea of where you're at. It's incredible to see these little like moments or nuggets sprinkled through where it's like, oh, I know how that's going to become helpful.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's just
Group
crazy.
facilitation is a skill you have to get reps on.
Yes.
You can't
Yes.
just, like, walk into a room and command it and break them into small groups and have them love their small groups without having done it 100 times,
Yes.
especially with a
That.
group of strangers and all dudes.
Yep.
Um, I mean, there's been so many times where my Segway tour guide job, my cold calling job, my youth work job, my, everything has just boiled into this persona that's not a game show host in Mexico, but I literally I feel so comfortable in front of dads that I've been able to connect with. It empowers me,
Hmm.
and that's why I made our mission is to empower dads,
Yeah.
because I want all the dads that are involved to feel as empowered as I do when I'm connecting with them, when
Hmm.
I'm supporting them in whichever way I can, and selfishly I get so much more support in return, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I go back to those fears that we just talked about that I have for Levi, that I had for Levi, about, him not finding that friend or
Hmm.
him feeling left out or feeling like he's falling behind. Well, I've got 75 dads' numbers in my phone
Yeah.
that all have kids that are somewhere on this age, somewhere in this world too. And like, I literally, I'm not even kidding. I got a text from an individual with Down syndrome while we were on this call who I've been meaning to connect with, asking if I can go out to dinner with him. You know,
Amazing.
it's like that we're kind of like planting the trees for Levi to climb is
Yeah.
another way that I kind of look at building Dodds.
Yeah.
Like my board member his name is Ryan Googans. He's a detective. He's incredible. He uh he has a daughter named Joni, and Joni's 2 and Levi's 3. They might as well just be friends for the rest of their lives,
Right. Yeah.
you know? And Ryan was one of those dads that came over to our house when they got the diagnosis
Hmm.
in not so kind of a way, a
Hmm.
very negative way.
Yeah.
And when they came to our house, and they were the first instance I thought of when you asked me that question, we just sat.
Yeah.
We just sat and cried and watched Levi be beautiful and amazing and
Hmm.
kind and active.
Yeah.
Just sat.
Man, there's so much power in that because in it, man, I don't even have the words for just how grateful that I am that you're bringing that to people because I'm convinced, and I think a lot of people are at a tipping point and also are starting to recognize it. Like this isolation is just, it destroys us. It destroys individuals. It destroys couples. And to be able to break that and honestly just sit with
Yeah.
someone and to see that power and recognize that connection, like, man, that's huge. Like I'm just so at a loss for words in the best of ways. Like I commend you for everything that you've done. It's really incredible, and I would agree. Like I've my mom's best friend growing up, she had Downs, and she was told she wouldn't, this was back in the 60s. It was like she didn't have a long life uh estimate, and she lived to be in her late 60s, I want to say, and she was always around, and like she's just the most amazing person to be around. And yeah, I think that's right. It's just like it is a group of the luckiest men in the world. And I do have a question on that. You're seeing the experience and the impact with the couples when they come over. You're seeing the impact on the husbands. Have you ever gotten feedback from the wives of Dodds?
The mods. You're
The
referring to the
mods? Yes. Yeah.
yeah, the mods have been amazing. A few of my most active Dodds found their way to the group by way of their wives.
Hmm.
But they literally reached out to me and said, "Hey, can I get the information for the next event I want? My husband's going to be there." um, the mods have been very excited about Dodds.
Hmm.
Um, my good friend, Luke, who's a Dodd, his wife is named Emmy. She once said, "Man, I'm so grateful for Dodds," and she kind of just said it in like like a not really like trying to say much, like moment, just said it.
Hmm.
And I don't know if I'll forget that because that felt really good to hear from
Hmm.
one of the moms, from one of the wives, like your question. Um, for the wives to be grateful for Dodds is huge. And I know Ryan, who I referred to earlier, his wife had a birthday on the same day as a Dodds event. And and he's telling me this at the Dodds event. And I go, dude, what are you doing here? Like, you should go. And he's like, she wanted me to be here.
Amazing.
And I almost get emotional thinking about that. Like, to have an idea come to life where people feel so passionate about it that one, it's exciting when people donate dollars, right?
Hmm.
And resources so we can grow. But it's just as rewarding hearing that somebody is willing to give up their birthday dinner with their husband
Yeah.
because they see value in a mission that you're working every day to build, you
Hmm.
know? Um, so yeah, I think those are the first few mods that come to mind, and um, even with Peter, after his vehicle accident here not too long ago, I'm texting him, and sure enough, his wife's on the line now with his phone,
Mhm.
and I'm chatting with her and getting updates from her, and I think that she's probably giving 50 people an update, but the fact that she took the time to give me an update means a lot, which makes me
Yeah.
feel like, she understands the impact that the group's had on Peter.
Mhm.
Uh, so yeah, I think I'm sure grateful. I think the one mod that gets the biggest thank you is my wife. Back to my time management skills that are in training. I think she's been extremely patient and kind and generous in giving to Dodds. And also when she's excited about something I'm working on or an initiative or a goal that I reach, oh man, and I'm sure you can relate to this too with your wife. There's just nothing better than hearing, "Babe, I'm so proud of you."
Mhm. Mhm.
I mean, that will just put you where you need to be.
Yeah.
And I've gotten a few of those lately.
Yeah.
And and those really are a big deal. So
Good.
that's I hope that you hear that when you get to share about the work you're doing.
Mhm.
And I would encourage you to know one thing is these Dodds events, I've always put zero pressure on dads to show up. Like, when they're there, I want them to show up and be their true self. But like, if
Yep.
they got soccer practice or piano class or whatever, like they gotta go. Like, I get
Yep.
it. If it's your wife's birthday dinner, you go, right?
Yeah, right.
uh, but like, I always say, like, even if one dad shows up, I'm cool. I'm gonna sit there for an hour and a half, 2 hours,
Yep.
and we're gonna, have a beer and eat pizza, right?
Yep.
Um, and I want you to know that, in this podcast vessel you're building, you're doing that.
Mhm.
You're doing the one-on-one deep dive
Mhm.
that is so necessary.
Yeah.
And as we also find, comfort in group settings, I think you have a really great opportunity to continue leaning in this one-on-one forum and create a equally powerful impact.
Agreed.
Um, Not to mention it gets recorded and shared, so you also have like this group, you know, opportunity as well. So, um, thank you for believing in what I'm doing, but also I want you to hear I'm
Absolutely.
grateful for what you're doing. I
That means a lot.
think you're really onto something here, and I
Yeah.
think that you've approached this extremely kindly and respectfully. So thank you very much for that.
Well, thank you. That means a ton, and, I do wanna give space before closing us out here. If people want to join the group, if people want to donate, if people wanna reach out about, "Hey, I wanna join that Utah chapter," or, "I wanna,
Yeah.
start an Idaho chapter," where would you direct them?
I would say I know a guy in Coeur d'Alene that I would love to connect that person with, whoever my Idaho listener is out there. I got you. You've already got a group of two ready to rumble if you're in the market. Um, I want people to know that dadsofdownsyndrome.org is a wonderful website that you can go to and learn about our operation, and get a better feel for our mission. I would encourage people to follow us on social media. The dollars that we've raised in our first year, most of them have been kind of turned back into marketing dollars to try to raise awareness about the group. It started off as raising it here locally,
Mhm.
but we're beginning to have a national following, which has been really fun to
Awesome.
see. And if you're interested in donating, you can surely donate on our website. Our dollars go towards empowering dads, inspiring advocacy, and general business expenses. You can choose one of those three if you ever wanted to, and those all get broken down on our website as well. And lastly, if you are local to the Midwest, on June 11th, we're having an unbelievably large fundraiser that is a beautiful vision that is just like Dodd's seemingly coming to life
Mhm.
before my eyes. And it's
Mhm.
been relatively easy. It's been a big lift, but the right people are all available and the right bands are all ready to go. And the DJ said yes. The giant TV said yes. A silent auction said yes. And the unique part is that I'm pulling in 8 other nonprofits. All of the ones
Really?
I referred to earlier have agreed to participate in the Dodds Days, our
Amazing.
June fundraiser. And Dodds Days is going to be we're gonna celebrate togetherness, and it's going to be an event unlike a gala, not just for one organization but for 9. And unlike a
Amazing.
gala, it's not just going to be a sit down and follow a program. It's going to be 3 food trucks and 4 bands. Come and go as you want, no cost to enter. Bring your friends, your neighbors, your family, whoever, and just get a feel for our mission, but also get a feel for 8 other missions, and spend the day with us and connect with us. Enjoy the evening with us. So, all that information's on our Instagram as well.
All that in 2 years. that's
2 years.
that's
Yeah, March.
incredible.
Last March was my kind of like, whoa, I can't believe we've been doing events for
Man,
2 years. Um, and I guess we're not slowing down. We got another one
no.
on Thursday.
And it started with 6. Love
Yeah,
it.
it was really, it was awesome. Yeah, but I'll never forget how they all said, yeah, I'll be there.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. Yeah, you
Well,
have been just
you're
an
great.
amazing person to get to know. And genuinely from the bottom of my heart, thank you. You're an inspiring and incredible person. And you didn't have to go to Mexico and host a game show to do it. Look at that.
Yes.
Thank you for spending your time here. If this conversation was helpful, you can follow More Than Capable wherever you listen to podcasts. I also share longer form writing on the More Than Capable Substack, exploring these ideas in further depth. You can follow the Substack by going to morethancapable.life. That's morethancapable.life. If this conversation mattered to you, pass it on. That's how this community grows. Until next time, keep showing up,